welcome back, everyone. All right, so today, customers are smart, sharp, and wise enough to tune out the hyperbole in marketing and advertising. They want to have real, transparent communication with brands and not exaggerated claims. Keeping up with these customer expectations alongside constant innovation is definitely nothing short of an uphill battle. But thanks to MADTech, brands can make it happen. We know what MarTech is, we know what AdTech is, and recently, marketing technology enthusiasts have defined the D in MADTech as DeepTech. It's an artificial intelligence layer that also adds automation to the whole 9 yards of marketing and advertising worlds, giving it a completely new meaning to delivering superior customer experiences. And that's what our next panel is going to be about: MADTech, Demystified, and Simplified. We have an incredible panel of speakers to talk about the whole 9 yards of MarTech, some of the best marketing leaders in the business. To moderate this panel, please allow me to bring back the one and only David Edelman, Senior Lecturer, Harvard Business School, former CMO, Aetna, and one of Grazidi's esteemed advisors. Over to you, David.
Thank you, Akansha, and hello, everybody, again. This is going to be a great opportunity to take some of the thoughts that I laid out before, but actually see how they go into action in companies that are really leading the way. So let me introduce our three panelists. Our first panelist is Aristomenes Kapogiannis. I hope I pronounced your name right. Director of Revenue Marketing at NVIDIA. Aristomenes is a revenue marketing technologist. I love that title. I think we're going to see more of those in the future, who architects teams within organizations to drive growth, and it's all about growth. That's what marketing's about, growth through actionable data. So thank you for joining us today, Ari.
Thanks, David. I appreciate you taking on the monumental task of going with Aristomenes Kapogiannis. That's crazy. You did a fine job. So kudos to you.
I like challenges. So we also have with us Tony Almeida, founder of Strategic Advisory Services at Blue Dragon Consulting. And Tony has over 20 years of multi-industry experience as a global strategic innovation and transformation leader. A really impressive guy who brings a unique blend of market making, business operations, and technology depth to bear. He's worked across 4 different continents. He's got an amazing global network. It's just terrific to have you here today, Tony.
Cheers, thank you. Glad to be part of this. I'll challenge Ari for his last name. My legal last name is Suarez de Almeida. So my children had to learn that, 5 of them. So.
All right, well, Allison, you have a high bar in terms of your name. So we also have Allison Havener, Vice President of Marketing at Trust Radius. And Allison brings over a decade of marketing experience, and she's a strategic, action-oriented marketer who delivers real results for world-class companies to drive growth. And thank you as well for joining us today, Allison.
Yeah, great to be here.
Well, let's just dive right in and talk about MADTech. So you just coined a new acronym, gang. But I think it's very real. And as you saw from the examples that I laid out before, it's something that's already permeating more and more of the marketing landscape. So let me first go to Ari. In both the online marketing and advertising world, there's a lot of unique platforms. We tend to refer to them as MarTech or AdTech, and they've been separate. They've operated in very separate worlds. So why do they need to come together? And what are the most important components as we start to bring those together?
Yeah, it's interesting. The nomenclature you touched on is important. I mean, even within my group, I keep forcing everybody to refer to it as revenue technology for the pure sake of sales marketing alignment. That as soon as I go over to sales to pitch, say, predictive analytics and account targeting, and it's mentioned that this is marketing technology, it's just deaf ears at that point. The same thing with ad technology, marketing technology, revenue technology. We're getting closer and closer to a better understanding, I think, amongst marketers as far as the cohesion in that tech stack. You know, traditionally at a conference, if you've got somebody standing in front of a crazy tech stack slide, going for a Stacky award, you're looking at kind of budget boasting in many cases. More often than not, 70% of that tech stack isn't actually championed by somebody. And in, take NVIDIA, for example, this huge org, every one of those pieces of technology have a person in charge of it. And they're going to go off and they're going to do their best. So you've got somebody managing predictive analytics, somebody managing your DAM, somebody managing your, say, the website's in a different hands over here, your map, your CRM, and somehow that's all supposed to get cohesive and deliver, quality engagements throughout an entire life cycle for the accounts in your mix. There's no way. You're talking about that happening accidentally. So at this point in time, I think more and more marketers, good marketers, are recognizing the fact that has to happen all in unison and cohesion. I think the early technologists were seeing it and figuring out, okay, how can I unify my data in a centralized manner and automate that to trigger plays in my advertising based on in-marketness of accounts and intent in particular leads that sales is going after. Getting to the point where marketing is no longer pulling account lists on their own over here and spraying and praying and hoping somehow that jives with who the BDR is actually having a conversation around and what that pain point is. We're getting closer and closer to that true omni-channel customer experience, but there's two sides to it. I could talk about this for hours and wrap it up so we keep going on to the next question, but the two sides are essentially the technologists bootstrapping their homegrown efforts, which are amazing. I've done it myself. I love it. But then as soon as that technologist leaves the team or moves on, everybody's looking at this pile of garbage from their vantage point, trying to figure out, how do I use this, change it, not have everything break? And then on the technology side, you've got a race right now. If you went to pre-COVID on-prem expo halls, you'd see, say, 50 booths all selling the same 7 technologies that you're going after. But it's a Venn diagram as far as what those offerings are. And all of them are trying to race to being the one platform that you need. Right? Look at intent data. ABM was the buzzword. 2 years ago, intent rose up. And then no matter what marketing technology, revenue technology, call it what you want, ad technology, it all had the word intent in it moving forward. And there's no offense, not meaning any offense to anybody there. It is the quintessential thing that you have to bake in predictive-wise on top of our legacy, old school Dungeons and Dragons marketing qualified lead scoring. But that one platform race is trying to marry up with the technologists trying to bootstrap this one unified data profile, automating and driving everything.
Yeah, it's quite a stack. There's a term that's being thrown around now, which is what is your stack utilization? Because so many companies have so much stuff already that they're just not taking advantage of. Some of the AI capabilities, like I mentioned before, those may be new because those haven't been built in, but a lot of the core data and functionality platforms, they're there and they're just underutilized. Tony, what are the benefits? I mean, you work with a lot of clients. What do you see as the kinds of results and impacts they're seeing if they can get their act together and work these in a more integrated way?
So it's interesting. I think you used the term stack monetization.
I actually said stack utilization. But I like stack monetization.
Yeah,
also.
Because I was going to say this is about insights monetization, right? Yep. And insights vary, and customers are more driven to have a personalized experience. It doesn't matter if it's a business, right? So when we look at the MADTech stack, we could significantly increase that personalization. And when you do that at scale, it breaks down silos. It enables you to simplify the tech stacks, improves buying sites and media planning, and hence delivering much more value to the publishers and customers. So that, in that position, you'll be able to actually quickly create a dashboard of metrics that helps you learn over time how to bring those and marry up sales and marketing with the MADTech.
Yeah, I think there's all kinds of new insights that you start to see about your customers, about the effectiveness of what you're doing, being better able to close the loop. And a third thing is speed. I'm a big believer in competing against time. Agile marketing, moving fast. I think that's another thing we see. Allison, in the work that you've been doing, how have you grappled with bringing this together? Are there some things that now there's a better capability to bring this together and make this all happen? Are there things that you've seen in the actions you've taken that are worth sharing?
Yeah, so when I think about this, and it's really about the data layer for me. So you can add as much technology as you want to your tech stack, but if your data layer is You don't have good practices around, privacy compliance. You don't have best practices around hygiene. You don't have a way that your systems are integrated properly. It doesn't really matter, right? And so you can have all that technology. I think Ari had a really good point as well, is having the right people at the helm, but also that, that documentation and the processes in place. So you can deal with team changes. Your org can move faster. That's something I'm dealing with right now, is that, we have a lot of marketing, we have a lot of technology, we have a ton of data, but nobody's really been at the helm for a long time. And so when I started at Trust Radius, there's just been a ton of cleanup. And what I've been telling my team is that we have to start with the data layer, right? And we have to make sure that these processes are in place, because when we actually start trying to add more technology to help us, if there's not the people and the process, documentation, and the right data, it won't work. And so I think that's something that when you are kind of building your technology stack, you have to make sure that the people and the process and the documentation are there. And I think that's just so mission critical to be successful.
Yeah, essentially data is the blood flow through all of those technologies, and you can build a lot, you can throw more on it, but if you're not really working on the core blood flow, and I don't want to push the analogy too far.
It is.
Yeah. But it is, you've got to make sure that blood's got plenty of oxygen and that it's really robust and you've got the right blood pressure going through. And I think the whole notion of data strategy coming to the fore, and data processes and managing those explicitly is one of the big challenges in making this come together. Tony, let me come back to you. You work with a lot of CXOs. As leaders start to face this, what are some of the things you're seeing in terms of actions that CXOs are taking to really drive this change?
So let me start. Your analogy is one I've used over the years, that nobody wants to know about their blood content, right? Unless they're sick or they go to the annual physical. But the reality is, in business, your data is your blood content. You need to know that early and continuously. You need to stay on top of it, okay? Otherwise, you're making decisions. Nobody's going to admit they made decisions in the wrong way. Nobody's going to say, hey, listen, my P&L is incorrect now. Wow, that'd be a disaster, right? I think the point is that actions by CXOs will be categorized much more effectively, right? And with the MADTech, they can unify, centralize, automate, and scale up, right? For instance, if they unify, what is the media, data, dashboards, reporting? This goes to a point of view that I've written about, which is the whole is bigger than the sum of the parts. And by the way, this is not original by me. This was said in a soccer coaching course I attended, where saying that it's much important to think of the whole of the human, of the business, of the person. Secondly, is to centralize the data. There's many ways to centralize the data. The technology is moving so fast. You can use semantic layers. You can use, data lakehouses. You can do a number of things to continue near real-time updates. That'll be incredibly, the world is so fast that the external data ingestion has to be, we all have to be on top of it. Automating creates the DeepTech AI layers that scale up fast, right? The faster you can do, Ari is a company is a good example. You can leverage AI as a way to push forward and automate and learn from the results that come through. And that means that you're scaling. I mean, simply as you automate, you can scale. They just go all in all. So basically, when I look at these four things I mentioned, they are really a whole that you have to start thinking about. Yeah,
it really is a whole mindset that you've got to put forward that's looking at it as becoming an integrated whole, with data being the key thing to knit together. Actually, Allison, I just want to come back to you. In doing this, what's the hardest thing? What are the toughest complexities that you face?
Yeah, Again, I think it goes back to it's how well you've maintained your systems. And so when you have a lot of people, right, we're all living in the Great Resignation. So if you've changed jobs recently and you're moving around, there's a lot of legacy technology. There's a lot of tech debt. And a lot of the data is just like not great data anymore. And so what you have to think through, and I think that's really, really challenging. So you kind of have like this tech debt, you have a lot of legacy things that definitely are maybe like not really helping you accomplish your business goals. And so you kind of have to sift through all of that, figure out, okay, what do I actually need in terms of technology to support the business goals? Because it might not be the same thing that was previously built. And so I think that's super difficult. I think the other component that I touched upon is the privacy component. It's getting harder and harder to aggregate, store, and then activate customer data. Whether you're in the B2C world or the B2B marketing world, it is very, very difficult. And I think as a marketer, you're getting more and more in the dark of that customer journey. And so for me, you can have, again, all that technology that you want. And however, if you're not being compliant and you're not that is going to be such a hindrance on your business going forward. And it's kind of like that ticking time bomb type of a situation. So I think it's legacy processes, tech debt, all of that, just really, bad data. And then I think the things that you can't control, right, is just overall privacy compliance and making sure that that's built into your systems as well. So I think those are two big pieces. And I think also the amount of vendors that there are. And so I think Ari touched on this too, is that when you're thinking about buying technology, there are so many people that say the same thing. And so marketers have to do, it's marketing to marketers. So you're like, okay, how do I sift through the jargon? How do I sift through this to actually know if this is going to solve my business problem? And so I think there's just like the complexity of the industry and how fast technology is, and these companies are starting, and how much again, that you can decipher from their marketing messaging and verifying that and making sure that you're making the right technology decision to, again, solve your business problem.
Yeah. So, but hopefully it's worth it. So Ari, bring us home in terms of, okay, 1 year, 2 years from now, when this comes together, what's going to be dramatically different?
Yeah, well, first I want to throw out there that I reached out to Tony because I got suckered into coaching my 3 and 5 year olds soccer team. So Tony, we need some pointers on that. I didn't realize what I was really getting into, but that's a whole nother conversation that happened a few weeks ago. The future is interesting. I'll get to what's changing, but what's interesting and we keep touching on is what doesn't change. The NVIDIA is a massive organization. So to enact transformational change in a massive organization or anywhere, you're going to lead with data. In a massive org, it's going to take that much longer. But once you actually present this data, knowing I don't have to have an argument, I can keep throwing data on the table. And if people want to keep slamming their head against the wall and ignoring what this is saying, it's on them. Eventually, they're going to shift. But when they want to shift, there's no step to understanding what they're looking at. If they see a negative, the first thing you hear are the buzzwords. We need multi-touch attribution. Coming from people that still don't understand how to look at the foundational data right in front of them. So the more cool technology we get, the more I think marketers are trying to find that solution where I can flip a switch and all the money is going to come rolling in. Only I put this thing on top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and which is built on a foundation of just garbage and compliance issues and all this. And I'm hoping this will solve it, and I can ignore this. I'm going to bury it in the closet. For me personally, though, miss being in a small org where you can roll your sleeves up and touch everything at once. That's where cohesion truly happens. And David, as you pointed out quickly, my whole goal is sales-driven digital marketing as a buzzword, meaning with the technology we have in place, with the right data foundation, with the right true AI ML in place, and these integrations, the person closest to the pain point of the decision-making unit members in an account right now is that SDR, SDS, BDR, however your situation is structured. Old schools, marketers getting closer and closer. Yeah, we have to have sales marketing alignment. We get together before a football play. We huddle, we break. I hope everybody did their job right. Now you've got these individuals on the phone with varying levels, staff level, C-level, veto, very important top officer, and they hang the phone up and they know what the pain point is. They know what the competition is at play. They know exactly that message that should be in front of this person. With the integrations we have in play, there's no reason they can't, with a click of a button in Salesforce, drive all these automated experiences at that minute out to these individuals, that individual, their peers, the water cooler conversation, versus hoping marketing from the huddle that we had on a quarterly or monthly or weekly basis happens to touch that individual I'm trying to close right now. So I think what you're going to see is constant digging in data. As much as we see these marketers have to be analysts, only a small percentage of them truly are. And it's a constant, hey, look at the data. And on the marketing side, people coming out of meeting going, hey, she's really smart. That was really cool. I have no idea what she was talking about, but it's neat that we have these huddles around these graphs and stuff. So constant foundation building, and then this one, I don't think there'll ever truly be a one platform, but a push to a one platform methodology where there is no sales, no marketing. There's just a question of, okay, now who actually owns the budget? If it's sales, clicking a button and driving all these marketing actions.
Yep. So guys, our time is running low rapidly. We're a bit over, but there's so much in what we've been talking about around looking at both the exciting things, but making sure we really understand the basics, the lifeblood, the data, that we've got to get on top of it. Blurring the lines, not just between marketing, advertising, and deep tech, but actually between marketing and sales and data science, and that all coming together. Because, in some respects, in the end, if we're personalizing to the end customer and personalizing our approach, the whole point is tailoring everything all the way around to a segment of one. A term we've been using for a very long time. So a lot of learning out of this, a lot of inspiration. I hope the next sessions today build on all of this. And I really want to thank our panelists today, Allison, Ari, and Tony, for a terrific discussion. We probably could have gone on for another hour easily.
For sure.
So thank you all again, and Manali, back to you.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us. Good to see you.
Hey, thank you, David. Akanksha here. All right, and well, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Ari, Tony, Allison, and David. This panel discussion has been super insightful, to say the least. And I think it's safe to say that you've just raised the tempo for the event. And I'd like to remind everyone that our subject matter experts are available in the lounge area and the booth, so please feel free to catch up with them. And well, all this excitement deserves a coffee break. We'll resume the marketing fun in 20 minutes. Let's be back in a jiff, and I'll see you in our next keynote session titled The Not Talked About Secret to Hypergrowth: Acceleration Through Customer Experience. See you there.